Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Daily Drop here on TarHeelIllustrated.com. I'm THI publisher Andrew Jones, and the topic today is Carolina football, as in the transfer portal, as in acquiring players from the transfer portal. Basically, here's the deal. I've gotten a ton of questions. We've got a ton of questions. I've got a ton of questions in the last several days, maybe 4 days, I would say. Several days, about the approach that Bill Belichick and Michael Lombardi are taking to the portal, because they have a ton of money and people thought they were just going to start just throwing it out there, just chucking money all over the place to bring guys in. And there are some concerns, there are some critics, and they're just general questions. Why haven't they done that? So the question in this drop kind of brings all that together, kind of like Play-Doh. You get a bunch of different colors of Play-Doh, you bring it together for a while, and then suddenly it's a different color. So I'm going to try to scope it into one title for this podcast, which you probably already see, is UNC too frugal or just careful? I think you can be frugal and careful. It kind of goes hand in hand. I think you can be frugal, and that alone is a positive, but there are a lot of different reasons why someone might be frugal. You might be frugal if you just don't have much money to spend, so you have to stretch your dollar. A lot of people do that in their own lives, whether it's with the home they choose, whether it's with the decor, the market, the car. You know, if you get all these bells and whistles in your house for entertainment purposes, whatever it is. Most people have to be frugal to a degree. There is a frugal line that most of us meet on a fairly regular basis. There's also being careful. Careful meaning a lot of different things. Boy, I'm just not totally sold on his game. We could bring him in here and take a look at him, but I'm not 100% sold, and we've got to get X number of bodies in here filling X number of open slots. I'm not sure I want him taking up that slot. That's one example of it. Another one might be, and I think that this is more where Lombardi and Belichick operate. Okay, I like this guy, and we've got the money to go out and get him, but how does that then sit in that room? We can overpay to get this guy, although our evaluation says, let's say Joe Schmedlap, Harvey Schmedlap, is worth, on the open market, he thinks he can get $12. But Bill Belichick and Michael Lombardi and Lombardi's vast crew have assigned him a value of $8.25. And they don't really want to go any higher than that, because the kids in the room ultimately know. Now everybody's kind of known by dollars and cents. You see it in the pros and stuff, in the NFL and college or NBA. Even baseball guys will hold out for more money because they think it's what their respect level is. It's respecting them. It's not as much degree as it is getting the proper respect. The guys all know. And in college football, they look around that room, they know. So the careful part might be, is this one guy we can afford to overpay because he's so good, the rest of the dudes will be okay? Is this one guy we can afford to overpay, but he comes in and there's a small question mark if he's really as good as we think he might be? And if he's not, the rest of the room's going to be like, wait a minute, why is he getting $8.25? He's not worth that. They may not say it, but they may think about it. And you need a tight room. In position groups, you need it. And on both sides of the ball, you need it. And as a whole, you need a tight room in order to be successful in college football, especially if you're not overflowing with talent. North Carolina's not overflowing with talent by any means right now. So I do think being frugal is good. Too frugal? We don't know. And that's part of what I want to hit on here. We don't know. A lot of people are overreacting to the lack of player acquisition so far, and they need to give it time. Remember back early in the basketball portal when people were panicking and freaking out? I came on here about this stage in the process, did a daily drop and said, pump the brakes, guys. They're doing due diligence, and they've got the money to get who they feel like and believe that they need to spend money on. If you need to go apply $2 million to a Gio Lopez, then you do it. And the rest of the dudes in that room are going to get it. So it's there. Same thing with basketball. They went out and got Henry Vasar from Arizona. Wasn't cheap. Cayenne Evans from Colorado State. Wasn't cheap. But they didn't just rush right into it. This isn't that an old TV show where you get 10 minutes in a supermarket to load up as much crap in your cart as you can. This is what that is. And these dudes don't shop that way. They've been doing it a long time. They cut their teeth and fortified who they are working under a salary cap. So they're going into this already frugal by nature, already careful by nature. That's a great thing. If you're a Carolina fan, like, great. Can you imagine a panicked head coach just chucking money out there? And I'm not saying any of their prior head coaches would have done that or were panicked, but there are panicked coaches out there. There are panicked programs out there. There are programs out there that appear to have the belief that if we just fire money all over the place, it's going to work. I offer you Texas Tech as Exhibit A. Let's see how it works out there. Maybe it does. If it does, fantastic for them, but maybe it doesn't. So Carolina and Bo Atkinson are really the central figure point for a lot of these questions. I thought we had all this money. Why is Bo leaving? Especially when the first two schools that are kind of said to be in contact with him or that he's interested in, Ohio State and Georgia, which have massive wads of cash. I don't know the specifics of it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you or make something up or anything like that. I will suppose, though, based on some conversations, based on reading the tea leaves from a little more of a distance than usual because of our minimal access, it very well could be a situation where they said, we can pay a Bo Atkinson this much, but that is a position that perhaps they think they don't need to overpay for. See, there's some position groups you need to maybe overpay for where you don't have to be as frugal. You're careful, but it's the right guy. If Bo Atkinson's belief is that his value is $12 and Carolina's belief is his value is $8.25, and Bo knows that, hey, I love it here. I've got the whole business school, the Keenan Flagler school thing. I'm a hometown boy. I will start and rack up numbers. I led the team in sacks last year. However, if that 825 is advanced by Carolina and he's hearing all around the landscape that, oh man, dude, you can get 11 or 12. Easy. People have a bidding war over you. It's a difficult decision to make. And it's kind of easy to go for the money because in football, your career is very fleeting to begin with, but the next snap, it could be over. I see football players taking the bag more than basketball players simply because the next play, it could all be over. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but if it is, people need to understand, A, Bo's not a traitor. B, maybe with some of the other players that are there, like Bryce Yates came in from UConn, and Melkart Abu Jode are good enough that they don't need to overpay for Bo. They can take some of that and apply it elsewhere. Well, where do they need to apply it? Defensive line in the interior. They need to throw cash at those at the interior, the two main defensive tackle spots, whether it's 4 or 3 technique, whatever you want to call it, whatever they call it in this defense. We don't have the terminology yet. In traditional football sense, a nose guard and a tackle. They need a lot of that. They only have a few, and I'm going to do another drop about that a little bit later. But they have to take money and allocate now where absolute needs are. Maybe the staff doesn't think that that is a great need because there were other good players as well when they got here. I'm not going to go deep in that position group because it's not about that position group. It's more about the cash and then giving a take on why Bo's gone and why they might be going about things the way they are. let's keep in mind, they've also spent money to keep some guys. They brought dudes in the winter. Kamari House wasn't cheap. He didn't come for free. He didn't come for a pack of gum. It wasn't cheap to keep Amari Campbell. Amari Campbell had a lot of suitors. There were the dollar figures that I was hearing back in November that Amari Campbell was going to get. Pretty wild stuff. So keeping him, who I think would be the lead of the defense because he's vocal. I mean, he was the vocal guy last year. Fantastic player. NFL player, so you keep him. They had to pay to keep some other guys, too. A couple of offensive linemen they had to pay to keep. They had to pay to keep a running back. Might be a wide receiver in there they had to pay to keep. A couple of DBs. So they have spent money to keep the guys that were probably agreeable to what their assigned value was. And that's what this is all about. People need to understand that Lombardi and Belichick have had so much success, and they believe so thoroughly in what they're doing that it's the assigned value. I talked about assigned value back in early December. Assigned value, and we're really not going to go much over that or at all, but only if you do for a couple of the right kids, and that's that. They got to protect the room. They got to protect ultimately how much they spend, because it's not limitless. So pump the brakes with your concern. I used that back in that basketball drop a few weeks ago. Let this thing play out. I know that they've lost, I believe it's 17 to the portal, and they've only brought in 5 at the time of this recording, which is Easter night. So they're going to bring in more. They're going to replenish. And they've got a little bit of time to do so. They don't have to take anybody. Now, it would be 6 because they did go get a defensive tackle from Maryland, but who the hell knows what's going on with that? We finally put that on our board and acknowledged it. And 6 hours later, the dude's signing with Texas. So whatever. That's the portal. And that's the modern day portal for you. So I'm just going to give you guys advice again. Just lean back. Exhale. Don't get too worked up. Let this play itself out. Now, in 3 weeks from now, they haven't replaced, and you're looking at a defensive tackle, and you're like, huh. They didn't get what they were looking for there. And if you look at the running back room and say just 5 guys, they probably need a 6. That's what most coaches want. They could use another offensive tackle. Everybody keeps saying they can use another linebacker. I backed off from that. I think that there's enough depth there. Although if the right guy comes along, you take him. I think you're pretty solid in the secondary. A lot of numbers over there. I still think the right wide receiver for sure. And I'm telling you guys, they need another quarterback. Right now, they've got Gio Lopez coming in from the Sun Belt, a true freshman in Bryce Baker. Max Johnson is not healthy and ready. And they've got a Torrey Newkirk coming in this summer, true freshman, arriving in June. They need another quarterback. They need another quarterback who's been in college for a little bit. So I expect that they'll get someone like that. That's a person they might overpay for at this point because you've already brought in a quarterback. They've already got one. They had to pay some money for him. So if you're going to bring a dude in to sit behind him, but compete, but certainly with the idea he's going to sit behind him, you're going to have to pay him. So they're going to have to do that too. And maybe with the Atkinson stuff, they knew that Ryan Brown was leaving. So they knew that whatever they had slotted for Ryan Brown, it's going to have to go way up to bring a guy into this situation. And maybe that was the extra money they could have given Bo, but decided not to. I don't know. We don't know. We're just guessing here. Or at least educated guessing here. Anyway, just give it some time, guys. That's all I'm going to say. Give it some time. We will be on this. If you're not a subscriber to our site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, it's just $8.33 a month for a 1-year subscription, and we're on this all the time. These questions are being asked all the time. I go on and answer as best I can. I came out right now to do a daily drop with it to get more people, to communicate to more people, to reach more people about some of these things, because a lot of the questions we're getting are outside of our premium board. So I'm happy to answer, happy to throw it on here, but it's a lot easier to do this than to answer 77 people individually. If you're concerned, let us know. Like this video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't, share the video with your Carolina friends. If you're okay with this, you say, okay, I'm going to sit back, this is going to be good, same thing. Like, share, subscribe. Jacob always says, like, share, subscribe. If you're fine and you like what they're doing and you're really, really fascinated to see how this thing plays out, like, share, subscribe. I'm AJ, and I'll see you later.